All right, thank you everybody for joining us today. We're going to be starting the webinar right at the top of the hour. Right at 1:30. So just give me a few more minutes for some other people to join. Be right back with you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. This is Michael from Reflik. I just want to let you know that we're going to be starting the webinar in about 3 to 4 minutes, just giving some more people an opportunity to attend. If you can, please give me a few more minutes, and I'll be right back with you. All right, thank you for everybody that's attending the webinar today to learn how companies are utilizing talent crowdsourcing to fill their open positions. We're going to get started in about a minute or two. I know we'll be going through a lot of information today, so thank you for giving me some time, learn a little bit more about this topic and speaking with a couple of our panelists. Just give me a few more moments for some others to join the call, and I'll be right back with you. The call is going to be live, so if you have any questions or comments, if you can do me a favor and send those in to the questions portion. And before we get started, I'd love to test out the audio. So if you're able to hear me, if it's coming through clearly, please open up either the chat or the questions and say I can hear you, just so that we can make sure everything's fine. Just give me a few more moments for some others to join. I'll be with you shortly. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. My name is Michael Bavar. I'm with Reflik. I'm going to be one of your primary hosts today while we go through this webinar, learn how companies are utilizing talent crowdsourcing to fill their open positions. This call is going to be very detailed, so if you have any questions throughout, I have a couple moderators in the room with me. They're more than happy to answer any questions that you have throughout this call. Just did an audio check, and everything's coming through. If you are having any problems, or any questions for that matter throughout this call, please open up the questions box and ask one of our team members. They'll be happy to answer anything for you. Today on the call, I have two amazing people. I have Edward Cody. He is the CMO of Magnus Textile. Edward, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Magnus Textile is a manufacturer, importer, and distributor of a broad spectrum of textile products utilized in the hospitality, healthcare, and industrial laundry space. Edward, in a little bit later, is going to be speaking about his experience in recruiting, his opportunities with Magnus, as well as talking about the changes he has with utilizing crowdsourcing to find some amazing qualified candidates. Along with Edward, I have Elizabeth on the line with me. Elizabeth, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Thank you for joining us today. Can you tell me a little about yourself as well as Clutch?
Sure, I would love to. I am a content developer at Clutch, which means that I write and conduct and analyze surveys on how businesses use any kind of technology that surrounds them. And that's really what Clutch is about. We're an online platform that's based on the concept of crowdsourcing, but for us, that crowdsourcing is looking for reviews of service providers, so that if you are a business looking for a website or some kind of specialized marketing, you can go on Clutch and find the provider that is going to give you the services that you need and read through our verified reviews to find the perfect match for you.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll be getting into Clutch in a little bit. Thank you for that. And myself, I'm the Director of Business Development. I'm also a crowdsourcing enthusiast. I work in and around the recruiting industry for, say, the last 15 years or so. I have had the pleasure of working with some amazing Fortune 100 and 500 companies with Reflik, like GSK, Axiom, JB Hunt, MGM, General Dynamics, and many others. So I hope we can bring to you some really good information and knowledge throughout the webinar. So we're going to get started. Now, covering in today's agenda, we have about an hour slated for the call. I don't look to take up too much of your time, more than 45 minutes. And in that time, we're really going to dive into what crowdsourcing is, how it's really changed the way that we do business today, how it's touched and changed on the recruiting industry. Then we'll get a really great opportunity of speaking with Edward again, and he'll be able to talk about his experiences in talent crowdsourcing and how it's affected Magnus's recruiting approach. Elizabeth is going to be coming back on, speaking about Clutch, their products, and the way that they do business. We're going to get into Reflik a little bit more and our unique strategy or advantage of crowdsourcing. Throughout this entire call, like I said before, we have some moderators that can field any questions that you guys are sending in, but I will leave some time at the end of the call to field some live Q&A, and then we're going to be going into some product offers as well. So thanks for giving us some time today. So I'm going to get started with the call. Well, what is crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing is the practice of engaging a crowd or a group to complete a common goal. It's powered by new technology, social media, and let's say Web 2.0. Crowdsourcing can take place on many different levels and across various industries. Thanks to the growing connectivity, and it's even easier than ever for individuals to collectively contribute, whether it's either ideas, times, expertise, or funds, all to complete that common goal. Crowdsourcing is all about the participation and ability to increasingly connect the world easier. It's a new way of doing things. Crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, crowd labor, collaboration, open innovation. It changes business models and the inner workings of organizations across the board, offering an immense opportunity to rethink or reinvent conventional processes. And it also gives birth to a new way of companies that are able to disrupt the way of business has operated for many years and to make things a lot easier. Really, the importance of crowdsourcing is to tap into the masses. I mean, there's really no way for companies to do so without leveraging crowdsourcing and reaching a larger amount of people in a fraction of the time and experts in those individual marketplaces to really help grow or complete that task. And for businesses, it's an overall cost, so it's a lot more effective when leveraging a larger group of individuals to complete that common task. Now, crowdsourcing has had a lot of success stories, and it's really based on the effects that crowdsourcing has had in the industry. By leveraging the power of many or the knowledge and the expertise of everybody, it's become highly efficient and extremely cost-effective to leverage the crowdsourcing measures. It improves the overall customer experience and transparency as well. And there's been some really huge trendsetters in the industry, and I'm sure everybody has heard of some of these companies, whether it's being in the crowd labor or crowdfunding, Uber, iStock, Kickstarter, Airbnb. I'm a fanatic with Airbnb. I think I've used it close to about 20 or 30 times, and this has really set the path for a lot of companies to leverage that crowd to finish the tasks a little bit better. Now, one thing I'd really like to do is to get to know you guys a little bit better and see what you guys have done with crowdsourcing in the past as well. I'm going to pop up a poll really quick to see how many of you guys have used crowdsourcing in the past. If you guys can do me a favor and select one of the answers, whether you've used crowdsourcing in the past, haven't used it, or use it on a regular basis, whether you're Ubering to work on a daily basis or leveraging Wikipedia and iStock to help out with some of the daily tasks that you might have. I just want to gauge how common crowdsourcing is used in your own life. Give you guys a few moments to fill this in. See that about 80% of you have voted so far. Give it another few seconds and I'll make this live. Okay. All right, perfect. See, it shows that roughly about 33% of you have used crowdsourcing before, 10 of you use it on a regular basis, and 57 haven't really used these forms of crowdsourcing, which is unique. Well, getting back into things, what we bring is we're bringing talent crowdsourcing to the recruiting space. This is an area that's never been done effectively before, and we feel that we can leverage the crowd to really tap into finding some very qualified people in a very short period of time. And it's really from the backing or the experience and the power of the crowd to really streamline those communications between the recruiter and the employer and really bring the recruitment industry into the 21st century. Now, touching on some of the crowdsourcing facts, I mean, if you look at these, it's pretty evident on what the crowd can physically do. The crowd gets to the truth a lot faster and a lot more accurate. Let's say on the show that used to be around, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the audience accuracy rate literally outperformed the experts 91% to 61%. You look at how the results are a lot faster. For 9 straight years, Doritos commercials have ranked in the top 5 of USA Today's Ad Meter rankings for the best Super Bowl commercials. Ever since the chip maker began crowdsourcing commercials through its crash, the Super Bowl advertising contest, it's been a trendsetter for how to improve overall results through the crowd. Now, the crowd is huge. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you look at Starbucks. It's collected more than 216,000 ideas on its websites, bettering the product, and it's literally from the customers going over and asking them how to improve on the beverages, the ambience, the payments, the social media responsibilities from those communities. It's all based on the crowd. Now, the crowd can be very tactical in a wide variety of tasks. Tim Cook, Apple CEO, reported there was over 9 million registered app developers and over 1.2 million iOS applications on its company's app store. So the tapping into the crowd can be a huge time saver and a very effective resource. Now, going into talent crowdsourcing, what are the benefits that this is bringing to the table, not just for employers, but also for recruiters? Employers get an opportunity of hiring people a lot quicker and sometimes a lot higher quality, because when the masses of recruiters are working for certain on a certain requisition and submitting, you get a chance to literally pick from a sea of best entries, rigorously filter it down, and serve it to the employer a lot quicker. It's leveraging the everyday individuals as well, saving time due to a competitive cost, and most of the time it's a success-based fee model, so the risk is really stripped out of the equation. Now, for recruiters, why would independent recruiters, staffing companies, agencies leverage crowdsourcing platforms or marketplaces to find jobs? Well, it's no more working for the clients. It's signing on, no hassle, trying to get through the approved vendors. I'm sure that most of you on this call, everybody from the smaller companies like Thrive Marketing and Cambria, all the way to the larger companies like GoPro, Intel, J&J, and Nike, everybody's looking and everybody's getting calls by a multitude of different providers. With crowdsourcing platforms, it opens you to a portal to thousands and thousands of recruiters to really leverage their network, their private resume databases, their connections to really find those people at a fraction of the time. So it makes it a lot easier for those recruiters to leverage their connections to find and fill the positions for you. But all that doesn't matter. It's what matters is what the industry is saying, what the executives are saying, what are the executives talking about, and that's why I've asked Edward to join the call with me today. Edward, are you there?
I am indeed.
All right, thank you, Edward. Edward is a leader at Magnus Textile. He acts as the Chief Marketing Officer for the business. He's also in charge of hiring and the placements of quality of talent and the quality of talent so that the company can grow. Before Magnus, Edward worked with Launch Capital, a venture capital firm, the multi-billion-dollar Persnick and Buck family. He's also a member of Boston's VC community for over 5 years. Edward has used many techniques and strategies in the past to acquire top talent, but he's new to the concept of crowdsourcing. He's here with us today to chat a little bit about his experience with talent crowdsourcing and the effect that it's had on his recruiting. So thank you for giving me some time today, Edward, and speaking with a lot of the recruiting professionals and executives on the call today. I just have a few questions. The first one I'd really like to ask is, tell me, what has been your standard approach when it comes to finding highly qualified candidates for your company and your space?
Well, first off, thanks so much for having me. For us, in regard to the standard approach, was primarily through job boards, is kind of where we started, as well as some cold reach outs to some prospective hires as well. And we had also begun to engage somewhat with recruiters, mostly freelance recruiters, rather than the organizations themselves.
Okay. Now, in your position, finding great sales professionals and marketing talent is always hard. What are the common challenges you face when it comes to filling these niche roles in an industry like yours?
Yeah, so I mean, first off, it's twofold. As a rapidly growing company, there are obviously bandwidth constraints. So it's very difficult for us internally to be reaching out to a lot of candidates ourselves, for starters. And secondly, that problem is really compounded by the fact that it is a niche industry. So there's not a ton of, potential candidates to have. And in addition to that, a lot of them are not online. So there may not necessarily be a digital presence that I can use to reach out to, or even for them to see a potential posting on LinkedIn or a job board or what have you. So, it's just the fact that a lot of the interaction for this industry is not happening online. It makes it very difficult to find people, and it makes it very difficult for people to find you in turn as well.
Of course. Well, when did you first hear about talent crowdsourcing, and what were the steps that you took to leverage it?
Yeah, so hiring, talented sales and marketing folks was really a top priority for us, and it was an area that we were, struggling to find great talent. And one of our board members, who was very familiar with talent crowdsourcing, recommended Reflik and kind of explained the platform and how it could potentially be valuable for us. And for us, it was worth a try. We were a little kind of cynical about what was possible. We had engaged some single recruiters. But the concept of broadening the net, having it go out to all these different recruiters, was really exciting for us. So that was kind of what led us to give it a try, and ultimately, work out really well for us as well.
Okay. Well, I know that you just mentioned a little while ago that you've used job boards probably for the longest time. You just started getting into using local recruiters. What did you think that Reflik offered that the other recruiting solutions did not?
Well, I mean, if you're talking to a given freelance recruiter or even kind of a recruiting agency, ultimately there's a limitation they have, right? That they're pulling in from only their network. They can only make so many calls in a day. And we had engaged with two kind of recruiting services, if you will. They were just one was just a single individual who was, focused on this industry, and the second was, kind of more broadly a freelance recruiter. And, ultimately neither of them could really surface candidates for us. It was a small pool to draw from. A lot of them didn't have digital presence, as I said, and, just singular, just the two of them were not able to yield results. So scaling that up and having, 100 recruiters going out and searching, it just increases the likelihood of finding a great candidate. And, for an industry like us, it needs to be as broad a net as possible, to find candidates.
All right. Very insightful. Well, when we spoke last, you had mentioned that you really liked how Reflik's model leveraged the independent recruiter marketplace. What do you think crowdsourcing brings to the table that is unique to the recruiting industry?
It just goes back to it's just a much larger net. Each one of these recruiting firms has resources that the others may not. So, for us, looking in retrospect at what we were doing, it's just working with one agency is just never going to work. It's just not the most efficient solution. Why not work with as many as possible at once and see what they're able to bring you? Okay.
Well, we were speaking on how crowdsourcing can be used to find candidates in a short time frame, and I've spoken to the account manager that you work with over here, and they gave me some really good insight. How do you feel that our model worked for you with the time to fill, the quality, and the overall experience?
I mean, I admittedly have to say we were beyond pleasantly surprised. We had a lot of doubts. We had engaged with some services. As I said, these freelancers, recruiters, just hadn't really gotten anything. So we thought maybe they couldn't find a candidate or it would take a long time. And in both instances, A, a candidate was found, and B, a candidate was found incredibly quickly. So we were shocked at, and really impressed with the speed at which, candidates were served up to us, and ultimately a great candidate that we ended up hiring was served up to us.
Sure, great. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Do you have any comments or advice for the professionals and executives on this call while they're evaluating crowdsourcing technologies to possibly insert into their recruiting? Any words of advice?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was, why not, give this platform a shot? You can try all these services. You're not bound to any of them. Why not try this platform? Because for us, it was just amplifying our message. So, one, I think the value of the company is there from, amplifying your ability to reach potential hires. And then secondly, it's, why not give it a try? It's for us, it was, beyond worth the experiment.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today, Edward. I hope you have a great day, and thanks for shedding some light on the crowdsourcing of talent for the executives on the call today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Have a great day. All right, guys. Next, we're going to be speaking with Elizabeth. Elizabeth is, as she mentioned before, a content developer with Clutch, where she helps write, conduct, and analyze surveys on how businesses use the technology that surrounds them. She currently writes about human resources and company cultures, but also has written about digital marketing, business process outsourcing, and user experience. Elizabeth, are you there?
I am.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you again for joining us and speaking with the executives on the call today. Can you go into some details about Clutch and shed some light on the business for everybody, please?
Of course, and thank you also for being willing to have me here today. So Clutch, like Reflik, is an online platform that is based on the concept of crowdsourcing, but instead of crowdsourcing talent and candidates, we crowdsource reviews for service providers. So what we do is we provide edited and verified reviews of these service providers, from website developers to marketers to business process outsourcing, to really any service that you can think of that a business might need to use that they would not be able to do in-house. And then we source reviews from the provider's previous clients. That way, small and medium businesses in need of a new service, from marketing to consulting, can read honest opinions from decision makers at the other companies who have worked closely with these people. And we also provide data-driven reports, which is what I work on. And just to give you a quick overview of some of the things that I've been researching about business process outsourcing and human resources, the research has shown that employees do care about benefits like health insurance and retirement funding, company perks like flexible working hours when they're considering another job. So this is just another thing to think about as you're considering the recruitment process, what you're able to offer to the candidates that you are recruiting. If you have any more questions about the specifics of that research, you can ask during the Q&A period at the end of the webinar. Next. Thank you. So I wanted to go over a quick example of how you might use Clutch. Let's say you're looking for a marketing agency in Boston, and you want to work with an agency that's previously partnered with businesses in your industry. What you're going to do is scroll through the profiles of Boston marketing agencies, and then you can pick the top-rated companies and check their service lines to see if they provide the exact kind of marketing services that you would want. And then you can look at the verified and edited reviews, which are going to tell you exactly how the marketing agencies have performed on previous projects. You then can create a short list of agencies that work well for you, and that's all based on real evidence that we've gathered from phone calls from a variety of clients. And so all of the reviews that we post on Clutch are transcripts of actual calls that our analysts conduct with previous clients to make sure that they're confident in the work that their service providers have done. What we also provide is leaders matrices, which are in essence graphs that let you compare the agencies in a specific market. So in this example, Boston marketing agencies, and see which ones have the best track record. It's a pretty powerful way of using crowdsourcing to kind of figure out what other people have thought of the services that they've been rendered. Next. So the other benefit of Clutch is that if you're a service provider, you can get listed on Clutch and maintain your own profile. Clutch does the work of collecting and posting reviews from previous clients. You would just have to provide the names and contact information for some of those clients. When you have those, your profile then appears on our database, which means that it's searchable by these decision makers at all of these companies who are looking on Clutch every day for various solutions. And because of the high quality reviews, those decision makers are much more likely to trust you. So it gets the relationship started off on the right foot. Next. And so I wanted to give an example of how a profile on Clutch looks. You may recognize this one. It's Reflik's profile. So the page provides an overview of Reflik's service focus, and in this case, it's HR consulting and outsourcing, as well as information like the size of the company, the location, how to get in contact with them. It provides direct quotes that come from the transcripts of the interviews that we've done, like the one that you can see on this page from a law firm. And the profile also includes each company's rating, which appears on our leaders matrices. As you can see, Reflik is 5 out of 5 stars, and that makes it an industry leader. If you have any other questions about that, you can also ask during the Q&A period. Michael, back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for the time. We're going to jump into Reflik and our platform a little bit. Our company Snapshot is pretty straightforward. We've been around for 3 years. We've had some amazing opportunity. We're working with some very large names in the business, whether it's with Canon, Texas Health, Ryder, GSK, Saint-Gobain. We don't focus on any industry specific. The beauty is that our community recruiters experience is very broad. We can really dive in and get very specific in the candidates that we are crowdsourcing for any one of the positions that we're currently marketing. And our value proposition is very straightforward. We're a talent crowdsourcing platform. We have, like I said, roughly about 15,000 independent recruiters, staffing professionals, agencies, headhunters, everything from your individual prospect to the gorillas in the industry. They've all registered onto our platform to gain access to several hundred employers and hundreds of jobs that we're marketing on a daily basis. And the recruiters are looking to leverage and monetize their personal professional network, their social connections, their private resume databases, all to crowdsource very qualified and capable candidates. And the concept is obviously more heads will be always better than one. We can rigorously filter through a sea of best entries for any specific position. And our solution is very straightforward. It's very simple, yet very robust. So let's say if we're taking on GSK's positions, we assign an account manager with our company. They're the point of contact with Reflik. They host an intake call to learn everything there is to know about the company, the background, the culture, the job description, the nuances of the position and the person, so we can really paint the perfect picture to what you're looking for in a candidate. What we do at that time is we create a profile on our platform for the company, upload the job, attach the insights, and instantly it's visible to over 15,000 recruiters to start leveraging their connections to find those qualified matches. It's the account manager's job to really pinpoint the right subset of recruiters that have experience, knowledge, and expertise to really leverage what they're all about. And once that's marketed out to the recruiters, I'd say on average, we get a little as 30 and as many as 75 recruiters and companies and agencies that work on every requisition. Once they're working on it, they can share it on social media. We leverage social media pretty heavily. It's a large component in recruiting in this day and time. And it's not just who you're connected to, it's who they're connected to and paying it forward and getting organic. So we garner a lot of traction with passive candidates that are coming in through that portal. They can also leverage their private resume databases by our algorithms, uploading into our system, reading through the keywords of the position, matching it to resumes, and literally drumming up some of the best candidates. Once our external recruiters are interviewing, evaluating, screening, and vetting the candidates out, they submit them into our platform. The quality is a lot greater because that account manager that's working with you will then screen and vet each and every single candidate out, match it against another algorithm, make sure it matches on paper. Our end game with this is trying to identify and qualify 10 of the best candidates in less than 10 days, and we do that very successfully. Once we do, we send it over to the employer. It's highly efficient because we streamline all of the communication. So if we have 30 or 40 or 50 companies and individuals working on a certain requisition, nowadays you're managing a pipeline of communication instead of the pipeline of candidates. We handle all the questions, all of the concerns. If they need clarity, direction, strategy, the account manager is there to really point them in the right direction. Once they're sent over to you, you can bring them through your pipeline, interview, evaluate, screen, and give the account manager some feedback. So if we need to tweak or hone in on some traits, we can transfer that knowledge over to our community, recalibrate their searches, and get back to work finding the very qualified people of what you're looking for. We have an extremely broad reach. A lot of people ask, well, what do you specialize in? And the beauty of our platform is we specialize in everything. It's really from the backbone of our recruiters. They have an immense amount of experience and years focused on every single little functional specialty in the industry, so we can help an employer one day with their accounting positions and their engineering positions and jumping into their legal and really cover the broad spectrum effectively. And we're highly efficient because of our process. The one point of contact over here at Reflik gets to know you very well, gets to know your company culture, your background, and it's really so that we can transfer that knowledge over to our community. The account managers have their finger on the pulse of our community, so they know exactly who to reach out to. They're open and available 24/7, not only to the employers like yourselves, but also to our community. The community has questions, concerns, they can reach out, give a call, send over an email, and reach the exact person with the knowledge to answer that question. The engagement is very flexible with our platform because we can reach the masses quickly and also become a preferred member. If and when companies want to integrate our solution with their ATSs, we're fully integratable with iCIMS, ADP, Smart Recruiters, and many other ATSs on online to make this process a lot more effective. Diversity hiring has been on the minds of many executives, much of yourselves as well. So we have a lot of recruiters, independent as well as companies, that are certified diversity hiring specialists. Just as long as we have a direction of what you're looking for, we can deploy the right set of recruiters at the right time to go and find them, screen, submit, fully vetted, and sent back over to you. So we can handle all types of recruiting, just as long as the conversation or communication is fluid between the both of us. Our platform has garnered some amazing traction in the industry. A lot of employers love utilizing our platform, whether they're small, medium, or large, and it's really from the effective nature of supplying highly qualified candidates for any one of their jobs from an entry level to an executive level. Since we launched our platform a few years ago, we've been awarded and recognized by some very large names in the business for our technology and solution and innovation of our platform. What I'd like to do is open the call up. We've talked with Edward, we've talked with Elizabeth, and we've gone through Clutch as well as Reflik on how our platform utilizes crowdsourcing to do many tasks. What I'd like to do is ask you if you have any questions to send in. I'm more than happy to cover them with you. And as they're coming in, our people have been answering, but I have a few that just popped in. Let's see. Reflik's community of recruiters is in the thousands. Will I be bombarded with resumes? Well, I get asked this question on a regular basis, and the answer is no. The right set of recruiters and recruiting firms will work on your positions. It's really the job of the account manager to market it out to those professionals to do so. Reflik's technology and your account manager will filter all of the incoming submissions based on your exact specifications. And like I said before, if there are any questions, they're handled by the account manager. Your point of contact will always be them. So the day and age where you had a Rolodex of agencies and recruiters, and you're more than likely just managing a pipeline of communication and correspondence and emails, that day is gone. I mean, we can really filter that out, speak with one person, and cast a very large net over the exact professionals that can find and fill the positions very, very, very quickly. Another one has come in, and it is how long will it take to see the results? Pretty much after the jobs go live on our platform, you'll begin receiving candidates probably in the first 24 to 48 hours. And we find employers starting to schedule interviews usually within our first weeks. I mean, it's a highly effective platform and solution. Once we get the information, once we market it out and market it to the right set of people. And Elizabeth, have you had any questions coming in on your side as well?
Sure. One question that I got coming in was what kinds of research we provide over at Clutch. And so I just wanted to give a quick overview of the kinds of things that we look into through our surveys. We do a small business survey every year that kind of predicts the trends of what small businesses are looking for in everything as broad as their social media use, to their digital marketing use, to their cybersecurity habits. We have research about things as specific as the user experience of web forms to as broad as general digital marketing trends. So if you're looking for more information about any kind of technology that service providers use, or anything that you might be curious about, you can visit Clutch's website and search for whatever topic you're interested in.
Okay. All right, I just got another question coming in, and let's see where it's at. How do you price your services? Our service is a completely success-based fee model. We range anywhere from a 16 to a 20% success-based rate with guarantee periods as well. So it's a pretty straightforward approach to recruiting. But what I'm going to do is I have a couple more questions that my team is answering right now. What I'd like to do while some other questions are coming in is I'd like to learn a little bit more about your internal recruiting. So I'd like to pop up two polls really quick to see how well you're recruiting or the types of recruiting that's working for you. I'm going to launch this one really quick so people can get an idea of what's been effective internally, and I'd like to also see externally as well. If you guys can take a few moments to jot down which ones are highly effective in this. You can also click on multiple. So if there are several areas that will that are effective for you, I'd love to see the notes. A lot of people on this call are in directors of acquisition, head of recruiting, diversity managers. I mean, it's a wide spectrum of professionals on this call, and gauging your area of expertise in this, it will be very helpful. So I see about 60% has voted so far. I'll share this information in just a second. I have another one following up with this. This is primarily on the effectiveness of internal recruiting efforts. And I'm going to close this really quick and share it so that you can see what has been effective. And employee referrals is always one of the highest ones. And if you guys can actually think of it, that's actually crowdsourcing. It's just crowdsourcing internal efforts. So most of the time, the employees that refer the people most likely get the highest and the best results possible. So that's the second one I'd like to launch is an external measure. It's tapping into what are the highly effective sources that you guys use to find people in a pipeline, whether it's dealing with social media boards, agencies, local recruiters, advertising companies. I'd really like to see what's effective for you. Many companies, and there's many companies on this call that are from all different sizes, from the 100 to 250 to 10,000 plus. Everybody has their own tricks and tools that they utilize. I'd really like to see what are the most effective solutions for you guys. So I see about 50% have voted so far. I'll give this another few seconds, and I'll share this with everybody. All right, perfect. 9. Okay, I see about 60% have. Okay, let me share this with you really quick. Job boards will always be effective. I mean, the way that I look at job boards are they're highly effective for that entry level to mid-level market person. But when things get very niche and hard to find, I mean, it's just hard finding them. Social media has become an extremely big component to recruiting because it's tapping into the masses. It's getting something very viral. So it's not just who you know or who you're connected to. It's who those people are connected to as well. So if I went to school for marketing and I send it over to a college roommate and he sent it over to somebody else, it's another form of crowdsourcing. Recruiting agencies are there. They're a highly effective solution. People are specialized. They're the backbone to our platform, so we leverage them very heavily, as well as with the local recruiters. Advertising agencies, I threw that in there because I've been seeing it pop up every so often. So I wanted to actually see how many of you guys have leveraged them as well. So I'm going to move on, and the last little thing is really next steps. I'd like to see how valuable our platform has been, and if you're interested in trying to leverage it to try and find and fill some of the positions that are coming up in the near future. If you have some time and interest, feel free to schedule a demo with us anytime to personally walk through our platform, see if we might be a good solution for you. For those that are on this call that want to try and leverage our platform, I do have an offering that I can send out. Utilizing something new is always interesting, and especially since we're a completely success-based fee model, I'm able to offer a 20% discount on any of the successful hires on our company through our platform. For those of you that are interested, we can reach out to you and see if we're able to help. If you are, I have a survey that's going out after this call that will allow us to learn a little bit more about you, and you learn about us, but it'll also see if this is an interest of you. But for right now, I'd love to thank everybody for attending this webinar, learning a little bit more about crowdsourcing, the effects that it's had in the recruiting space. And I want to thank again Edward and Elizabeth for joining us today. As far as now, I'm going to keep the webinar open for a little bit so that we can answer some questions. I know that a few have come in, and I'll leave this open so that we can answer them. But thank you, everybody, for your time today. This recording will be sent out to everybody just in case that you missed something. But thank you for your time, and have a great day.